The Department of Family and Protective Services viewed me as a Black woman who was in a relationship, a violent relationship, who was denying that she was in a violent relationship, not considering the mitigating factors of my childhood or surviving or the structural inequities. And they went into the situation with the intention to dismantle my family. When I was 18 years old, I had my son. By the time that he was 5 months old, I had my first interaction with Child Protective Services. The biological father side of the family called CPS on me numerous times a year for 12 years until I lost custody of my son. I had a daughter 3 years later, and they would come into my home, they would ask me questions, they would interview my children, they would give me random drug tests, they would inspect our refrigerator, our home, and no report was ever found to be true. But when CPS reported me having contact with them, when we finally got into a court appearance 12 years later, they did not say, "We've been investigating her for 12 years. We've seen her 5 or 6 times a year and interviewed her children that she willingly let us do for 12 years. And not one time have the children had a bruise. Not one time was there not food. Not one time was the house not clean. Not one time did she fail a drug test." They went in there and said she had 12 years of CPS contact. So it misled what my relationship with CPS was. And before we went into that court hearing, I was under the impression that the Child Protective Services system was to help you. The long-term effects of separating children from their parents and not giving them an opportunity to nurture that relationship, it has significant impact on the children. My son and I were separated for several years and did not have communication, and he's 18 now. But the residual effects of that separation and that abandonment still shows up for him as if he was a 12-year-old boy. So if we truly care about what's going to happen to these children in the future, we have to really be mindful of the trauma that is being inflicted upon them, pushing our own belief systems onto children who inherently love their parents. My children went to a relative on the paternal side of the family. And at the beginning, I was able to keep in contact with them through that relative. She did let me have a relationship with them, and I would visit them, and then slowly but surely that changed. An adoptive parent or someone who gets permanent managing conservatorship essentially has more rights and support than the birth parent ever had. She gets money from the state and she gets my child support. Had I had the financial support that she gets for taking care of them, me and my children wouldn't have suffered housing insecurity. I could have afforded a child care program after school so that I could have worked, because I was in a rural community that didn't have public transportation, because I didn't have family members around, because I didn't have a support in keeping my family together. DFPS has the resources and they have the money that they could have put us in an apartment. They could have given me classes. They could have helped me with child care. They could have referred me to the workforce and got job training so that I could have been making livable wages. But these individuals get to cherry pick who these services go to. My name is Cynthia Simons, and I am the Women's Justice Director at the Texas Center for Justice and Equity.